This is the Unit 4 Mid-Unit Study Guide help video. Alright, so the first question says, Yumi has 50 pounds of mulch to divide evenly between 30 flower beds. How many pounds of mulch will Yumi spread in each flower bed? So I have 50 pounds to divide evenly between 30 flower beds. So I'm going to do 50 divided by 30. All fractions mean divide. Write the denominator outside. So 30 goes into 50 one time. 1 times 30 is 30. I subtract and I get 20. So it's one whole group of 30 and 20 out of 30 in the next group. And so I have 1 and 20 thirtieths. I can divide each of these by 10. So my answer would be 1, and 20 divided by 10 is 2, and 30 divided by 10 is 3. So how many pounds of mulch will he spread in each flower bed? 1 2/3 pounds per bed. Okay? I'm going to change things so it's bleeding through. Alright, second question. Select all the expressions with a value greater than 1. So, if I have a little number divided by a big number, that's going to give me a little number. So this one does not work. I have 3/4 divided by 1/2. 3/4 is bigger than 1/2. So this is a big number divided by a little number. So this would be greater than 1. Here I have a big number divided by a little number. So this would be greater than 1. Here I have 9/2, which is 4.5, divided by a small number, bigger than 1. And finally, big number, smaller number, bigger than 1. So it is B, C, D, and E would all give you an answer greater than 1. After biking 5.5 miles, Hannah has traveled 2/3 the length of her trip. How long in miles is her entire trip? So if I think about my trip, here's her trip. This is 5.5. 2/3 of the trip is 5.5. So I have to figure out how much the whole trip was. So some number I don't know times 2/3 equals 5.5. So I need to do a fact family. So I'm going to call this A. So I could do 2/3 times A equals 5.5. Then I could do 5.5 divided by A equals 2/3. Or I could do 5.5 divided by 2/3 equals A. That's the one I'm going to do because that's one I can do. So I'm going to make this into an improper fraction. 5 times 2 is 10 plus 1 is 11. So 11 halves divided by 2/3. Now I need to find a common denominator. So I've got 2 and 3. So my common denominator is going to be 6. So I have 11 halves. And that is equivalent to times 3 times 3, 33 sixths. And then I have 2/3. And that is equal to 4 sixths. So my math problem is 33 sixths divided by 4 sixths. So my answer is 33/4. If I change that to a mixed number, all fractions mean divide. Goes 8 whole times with 1 left over, so my answer is 8 1/4. So how long was the whole trip? 8 1/4 miles. Next question. A recipe per pound cake calls for 3/8 of a cup of butter per loaf. Tito used 2 1/4 cups of butter to make multiple loaves. How many loaves did he make? So I'm going to take this butter and divide it by 3/8. So 2 1/4 divided by 3/8. First thing I need to do is make them both be fractions. So 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9, divided by 3/8. Now I have to find a common denominator. So common denominator for 8 and 4 is 8. So this I can leave alone, but this I've got to change to 8ths. So I multiply this by 2, multiply this by 2. So I have 18/8 divided by 3/8. My answer is here. So 18 divided by 3, and 18 divided by 3 is 6. So he made 6 loaves. Next one. Write a multiplication equation to represent how many 2/7 are in 6. Write a division equation to represent how many 2/7 are in 6. So I'm going to make a fact family, and I'm going to start here. So it's going to be 6 divided by 2/7 equals A. How many of these are in that? So I'm going to divide that. So my other part of my fact family for division is going to be 6 divided by A equals 2/7. My multiplication is going to be 2/7 times A equals 6, or A times 2/7 equals 6. So I think it's easiest for me to make a fact family and then go from there. So these are the answers for this question. What is 9/10 divided by 3/5? Are they both fractions? Yes. Now I need to find a common denominator. Common denominator for 10 and 5 is 10. So I'm going to do 9/10 divided by 3/5. I can leave this one alone, but I got to change this to tenths. So times 2 times 2, I get 6. So 9/10 divided by 6/10. My answer's here. 9/6. All fractions mean divide. Write the denominator outside. Whoops. Goes in one time with 3 left over, so my answer is 1 3/6, which is 1 1/2. Right? Back of the page. So my class, Mrs. Pates's class, you're done. But the other classes you might have more. An orange has about 1/4 of a cup of juice. How many oranges are needed to make 2 1/2 cups of juice? So it says write a multiplication or division equation to represent this question. So 2 1/2 divided by 1/4. So are both numbers fractions? No. So I need to change. I'm going to change pens because my pen's running out. So I need to change this to an improper fraction. So 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5/2 divided by 1/4. So this answer goes for here. Then I need to find a common denominator. Common denominator is going to be 4. So I'm going to change this one. Times 2 times 2. So now my answer is 10/4 divided by 1/4. So my answer is 10/1, or 10. And the final question. Excuse me. Rita has 1 3/8 pounds of flour. When she divides the flour into equal-sized bags, she fills 2 3/4 bags. How many pounds fit in each bag? So I'm taking the flour and I'm dividing it into into the bags, and I fill 2 3/4 of them. So I want to know how many pounds fit in each bag. So I'm going to do 1 3/8 pounds of flour, and 2 3/4 bags. So something like that. So it's going to be 1 3/8 divided by 2 3/4. So I go ahead and change them both to fractions. So this is going to be 11/8, because 8 times 1 plus 3, divided by 11/4. 2 times 4 is 8 plus 3 is 11. Common denominator is going to be 8. So times 2 times 2. So that's 22. So my problem is 11/8 divided by 22/8, which is 11 over 22, which is 1/2. So it says how many pounds fit in each bag? 1/2 pound per bag. All right, thank you for your good work. See you tomorrow.